Everyone. I am Councilwoman Dr. Niyah Glover. Thank you for joining tonight. We have several individuals in here. Thank you. We have 14 participants. So hopefully more will start coming in. Today, we're going to talk about finding balance, effective tips for managing anxiety and depression. We have a few of our mental health advisory board individuals in here as well that serves on the actual committee. But tonight, the presentation will be shared with Ms. Tracy Ritz, who is now our vice chair. So I want to thank you for coming in, Ms. Ritz. She and I will actually split this presentation tonight. So again, on behalf of the Mental Health Advisory Board team, I want to warmly welcome all of you to our May webinar, which is focusing on managing anxiety and as well as depression. We're honored to have each one of you to come in and join us for this important conversation that will actually piggyback off of April's Mental Health Advisory Board, but focusing on mental health awareness and building the emotional awareness to help sustain any challenges that we face on a daily basis. So as we all navigate the demands of daily life and understanding how to effectively manage anxiety and depression, this is not only essential, but it's actually empowering to get these tips, right? So today's session is dedicated to exploring practical tools, evidence-based strategies, and supportive insights, right, to help find that balance, restore calm, as well as the goal is to nurture your mental well-being. So let's continue from January into now, right? Kind of pulling together all the information that we have been discussing over a monthly basis and continue to move towards greatness, awareness, resilience, as well as healing. So again, I will start out with the presentation and Ms. Ritz will continue on the last half of the presentation, kind of giving you some of those tips to manage any anxiety and depression or depressive type symptoms. And we would take you into our mental health awareness hub as well to kind of refresh your memory there to continue to push that as a resource for you all. Also, it's a beacon for tapping into anxiety and depression as well. We have some surveys on there that we would like you all to continuously to look at. The PHQ-9 taps into depression and the GAD-7 looks into anxiety. And you can use this not as a diagnostic tool, but as just a gauge for you on a monthly basis to see any changes that you're making in your life that's on the positive spectrum, that you are actually headed in the right direction. All right, so let's go ahead on and dive into understanding the mental and physical dynamics and why partnering those two or understanding those two are vital to our overall mental well-being. So mental health is just as important as physical health, right? It affects how we think, feel, relate, and function on a daily basis. Anxiety and depression are the most common mental health challenges. Mental health illness can affect anyone, regardless of your age, your race, or your background. Statistically, 1 in 5 US adults and 1 in 6 youth between the ages of 6 to 17 experience some form of mental health disorder. So looking at how important mental health and physical health are together in a collaborative effort, just like we monitor, we go to the doctor, right, on a monthly or every 3 month basis, or even an annual basis for blood pressure checks, cholesterol, diabetic checks, we should also do those routine check-ins on our mental well-being as well. So the same compassion that we give to our physical well-being should be applied also to our minds. The daily impacts of both, so looking at mental health influences, it focuses or influences how we think, right? How we feel, as well as our social dynamics, how we relate to others, and how we actually handle those daily life hassles or those daily stressors. It plays a vital role in every single interaction in our actual life, both in the home as well in the workplace. It is not just about mental illness. It's about mental wellness. So that's what we're focusing on as we meet on a monthly basis, how we function and thrive on a daily basis. The prevalence of anxiety and depression, and we will break both of these down independently and show how they play a dynamic role together over this presentation. Anxiety and depression are incredibly common, however. Most of us either experience it ourselves or know someone who actually have experienced it. So this affects more of us than we actually think, and we must feel comfortable talking about it and knowing those resources and reaching out to those resources. So let's start with understanding anxiety more specifically. So as a practitioner, I utilize the GAD-7 again to actually get a baseline. And again, on the Mental Health Hub, there is an anxiety scale there that, again, you can take a look at. Anxiety is a natural emotion. But when persistent or intense, this is when it becomes a disorder. So, looking at some of these different types of symptoms, we talked about in the April webinar, knowing that early recognition model, knowing when you are in a crisis versus when it's in the ongoing setting. So, understanding that self awareness and knowing where you kind of lie in that particular model is important to ensuring that you're implementing those strategies ahead of time. Our body tends to transition into that fight flight response. And in ensuring that we're not in this consistently to prevent those different types of challenges in our life are the beacon of the overall spectrum, right? So ensuring that we are implementing different type of calming nervous systems that aid in that fight flight response, such as deep breathing, grounding techniques, or again, knowing those resources actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, helping our bodies to shift from that fight flight response to the rest and digest. And then, again, Ms. Ritz will talk more in depth on additional tips to kind of engage in these different types of components to thoroughly and properly activate in that nervous system. So it becomes again a concern when it's persistent, overwhelming, and interferes with daily life, such as avoiding situations, trouble sleeping, or constant worry. But everyone may experience anxiety in a different manner. But what we see is statistically 40 million US adults are actually affected on an annual basis. And the more challenges that are presented on a daily basis are ongoing challenges that are not handled and it's properly formed will continue to build anxiety and later on may coexist with depression. So let's normalize what anxiety feels like to you independently, not comparing to someone else, but what does it feel like to you? And also knowing the different treatments or different types of therapy and or solutions to aid in why your anxiety is present. Anxiety, again, to a practitioner is typically linked to more common challenges in your life, but more current or the unknown, future challenges that you may perceive and you do not have those resources to mitigate those challenges. So again, knowing what's in your community, knowing how to minimize those challenges are vital to managing your anxiety. Ms. Ritz, do you have anything to add to this slide here?
No, everything is plainly laid out. And I just encourage everybody, like you said, to understand their own anxiety, to have a self-awareness about it.
Absolutely.
Well, when they're dealing with it.
Okay, awesome. So understanding depression more than sadness. Again, that's that early beacon, understanding there's a difference between sadness versus depression. Being able to self-identify is vital to transitioning into depression. Depressive symptoms seems to appear differently in everyone, but withdrawals from activities, sleep appetite changes, guilt, and hopelessness are some of those common types. And this is considered a medical condition that impacts one's mood, motivation, energy, and just overall outlook on life. So the cognitive components are actually impacted when it comes to your depression. And again, this can be linked to some past challenges that are unresolved or unforeseen, or some challenges that could be coming into your current situations, right? Just so feeling that overwhelming amount. So again, more than just sadness, it can create a persistent sense of emptiness. Depression can, a lack of interest in the things that once actually brought you joy in your actual life. Those common symptoms listed here, for some, it is invisible and expressive. And some it's visible and expressive. For others, it's silent and then it can be more internalized, what we call that high functional type of depression. So some individuals can be walking in everyday life displaying depressive type internal symptoms. Those different types of symptoms again will start showing and manifesting with different types of challenges such as headaches, high blood pressure, lowering of the immune system, causing you to be more susceptible to illnesses such as common colds, etc. Right? So there's that mind-body connection again. It's not a personal failure, so changing how you're looking at it. Again, depression can be linked to more of a cognitive outlook on life. Changing how you're looking at that challenge in your actual life can be a great approach to minimizing some of your depression as well. Depression is not a sign of weakness or incapability of someone. And taking that approach is typical in our society. When I'm working with clients now, they believe that you should just press on or just snap out of it. But that unresolved challenge is still present and prevalent, right? It is, again, a legitimate medical condition that often needs real support, care, as well as treatment. Just like our physical illnesses that I previously highlighted, such as blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, we may need to do a collaborative type of treatment or eclectic type of approach. So depression, as highlighted here, it actually affects 16 million individuals each year. So you're not alone in this. But the good news is that it actually is a treatable disorder. Therapy, lifestyle changes, medications, or a combination of all three are typically the approach to depression. So again, the early beacons, the early recognizable symptoms, the actual model that we talked about in April are vital to ensuring that you are not transitioning into that crisis stage and you're staying in the early prevention stage. Ms. Ritz, any add-ons here?
No, no, it's greatly expressed. I like how you expressed to us the fact that we need to understand depression. Because sometimes I think, in certain cultures, we didn't have, I know I didn't have the information on how to deal with it, how to understand it,
Mhm.
in a proper way. So I'm so glad that we're having this webinar tonight. Thank you.
Awesome. So depression, again, it does look different. As she highlighted, it could be a cultural difference, an age difference, a gender difference. There are differences in how it's actually displayed, but understanding that it is actually real and valid is the starter to seeking the assistance, resources, guidance, treatment that is actually needed for betterment. So those daily impacts, right, of anxiety and depression, we talked about over the last 4 months together, the emotional components listed here, the social impacts, as well as the physical impacts. And it does have that long-term impact. So mental health affects, again, every aspect of our lives. Anxiety and depression don't just affect the mental health. They influence, again, how we think, move, eat, sleep, and relate to others. So every aspect of our lives is actually tied into our mental health. You are seeing a growing need in partnership of the medical world and the mental health world, more so ever today. So, as we continue to move forward in understanding how mental health impacts our physical health, we will start to understand and build that self-awareness that is needed to mitigate those challenges. Tasks that may have been simple to you can actually become so overwhelming. Simple things like daily hygiene, getting out of the bed, going to work, making small life decisions or even holding a conversation have been reported to myself as a practitioner for my clients. What about for you, Ms. Ritz? Are you seeing some of these things listed here so they're
Yes,
told?
definitely,
Right.
especially with the way the economy is going now, and
Mhm. So those
especially. Mhm.
uncertainties, right?
Yes,
So definitely we're seeing a lot of things as far as the uncertainty of food, shelter,
yes,
All of those things are heightened concerns more so now ever today, and it's going to start taking emotional toll. So that's why we want to arm you all today, moving forward, putting in a actual system of life, right? A healthy system of life to help to combat and prepare yourselves emotionally, socially, and physically. Moving forward, we're going into the summer. It's great to start readying your body physically, getting out there, understanding what's going on in your community. Fayetteville has a lot of great things that are always going on in the actual community to ensure that you are tapping into some of those social aspects and seeing that you have that support system right here in your actual community. Relationships, again, that social aspect actually plays a role too. Our social convoys as we transition in every developmental period in our lives are vital. So having those positive support systems, I always highlight that to my clients, positive support systems are vital to our mental health. Okay, so you need to be able to identify the two because it plays a role in work performances and things of that nature can actually suffer. These conditions, as far as under the social ramifications of mental health, can lead to, again, withdrawal, irritability, emotional challenges, isolation, emotional exhaustion, right? All of these can be impacted and strain personal relationships and affect your job performance. It is not about being lazy, right? Or lack of motivation. It is a real internalized struggle that I have seen with my clients that takes effort just to function throughout the day. So tapping into again who you are, how it looks to you, and how it feels and resonates to you is important. I always tell my clients, allow yourself to feel what is going on. When we suppress it, then that actually pushes those challenges further away and makes it a little bit challenging, more challenging, shall I say, to actually seek the advice, guidance, or help that you actually need. Physical health is also impacted. The mind and body are deeply woven together. That connection is vital. Poor mental health often leads to poor physical health as well as vice versa. So those long-term risks, untreated symptoms, as I just highlighted, can lead to substance abuse, chronic illness, and suicide ideation. So the insight here, mental health challenges have a ripple effect across every aspect of your life. So do mental check-ins in all of these areas of your life and find and locate where that challenge is. And then let's start implementing some of those strategies to actually minimize the challenges in your life. I will take you after Ms. Ritz take you on that those tips to minimize some of these challenges. I'll take you into our mental health hub to show you where you can go to actually do an anxiety and depression scale just to gauge where you are. Again, this is not to actually diagnose you, but just a gauge that you can go in on a monthly basis to see what you're implementing. Is it working for you? Or do you need to change your direction? Or have you tapped into those things that you need? Or do you need to seek additional guidance? You can always reach out to the mental health advisory board as well for any guidance that you may need. So, why is it difficult? Why is that stigma still prevalent in today's world that is so open and expressive today? It is still a stigma to talk about one's mental health. This is a challenge, right? To talk about how you're feeling with someone. I find that my clients feel that it's easier to talk to someone that they don't know because of fear of judgment, right? So, judgment from their friends, family, peers, or someone of that nature, or being perceived as incapable of actually performing, right? Second could be cultural differences, as Ms. Ricks previously highlighted. So cultural silence or family pressures to just be strong. So there are different circumstances that may prevent someone from feeling comfortable from talking. Again, age, gender, access to mental health, all of those things play a vital role in what prevents a person from talking about what is actually going on. Number three, it could be your belief systems. Your belief systems prevent you from actually reaching out to a professional or just talking to someone. So a lot of people, when I'm working with my client, and I'll ask Ms. Ritz to chime in on this one as well, a lot of my clients, we look at those different types of grounding techniques or emotion regulation techniques, and prayer and spirituality falls up under your grounding techniques. But I always tell my clients you should have a variety, right? Have a variety of different types of coping mechanisms to ensure that you are armed with what is needed for your circumstances. One size does not fit all, right? So you want to have several coping mechanisms to ensure that you are prepared. Ms. Ritz, you can chime in on this third reason here.
Yeah, I totally agree because a lot of times with our spirituality, I know we can say, well, I'm just going to pray about it.
Mhm.
But I encourage all of us, especially those of us who say we're believers, to, have the tools to go along with that prayer that, that's vital for our success as far as our mental health is concerned. So Jesus in prayer is a great combination.
Yeah.
Jesus in therapy, I said this way, prayer, Jesus, and whoever, whatever you believe in. Okay. Some people that are saying, okay, well, I'm just a spiritual person. Well, even if you're saying I'm just a spiritual person, then also therapy along with that is a great combination.
Absolutely. And four, as to me, the core of all of mental health is the awareness. Self-awareness builds and breeds self-confidence, um, self-esteem, all the pillars of positivity that is needed to sustain and challenges. So lack of awareness, the difference, as I highlighted before, some people lack the awareness, the difference between lack of motivation and depression. Understanding those differences are vital. So learning yourself, becoming more self-aware is important to ensuring a positive outlook on life, preventing anxiety and depression, or that combination. Typically, I see the combination when I'm working with my clients. They're kind of both present or prevalent in their treatment at that time. Number five, stigma thrives in silence, right? So becoming more vocal, becoming more outward with what you're actually going through instead of suppressing. Your challenges in your life are vital. Education and empathy actually breaks silence. And Ms. Rich, so I'll have you take over providing some tips here.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, again. Now, tip number one, move your body, change your mind. Exercise boosts endorphins, improves sleeps, and lower cortisols, which is our stress hormones, excuse me. But I am an advocate for that. I am an advocate walker. So whatever it is that you decide you would like to do, but I know that it will also cause us to have our happy hormones to come forward as we're out exercising or doing something that we enjoy doing. Whatever it is, just move your body. Also, it doesn't need to be extreme walking, stretching, dancing, or gardening. Just something to get your body moving. Also, research regular movement can reduce mild to moderate depression as effectively as medication. And I found that to be true in my own life. Of course, hey, when we're moving and our body is in the right, frame of, I would say, even our mind, the right frame of thinking, and we're moving our body, then it makes a tremendous difference in how we're going to show up in our everyday life. So this is an example, a common scenario. Maybe a retired man begins walking daily and notices better sleep and fewer anxious thoughts. And once again, I have experienced that in my life. Even after COVID, I made a commitment to myself that every day that I was going to get up and do something to move my body. And it helped so much with all of the stuff that was going on in our everyday life with my life. Also, action, commit to 30 minutes of movement most days. So for me personally, I have decided that every day, I'm going to get started. And also a good suggestion that I have for you guys who have anxious thoughts is even listening to something maybe inspirational, something that's going to keep your mind at a healthy place. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Talk it out. Now, I really believe in getting it out. And I always share with my clients, if you don't get it out, it's going to come out or you're going to take it out on somebody. Usually it's the wrong people in our life. So suppressing emotions makes us feel stronger. Sharing reduces our weight. Excuse me, you guys. So it makes us me personally, and I'm gonna talk about my personal experiences, that I don't suppress my emotions anymore. I realize that there are some people in my life that can handle, the fact that you're not always going to have a perfect day. So social connection is a protective factor against anxiety and depression. What my clients, isolation can cause devastation. A
Oh
lot of
my
times,
goodness.
well, I'm just gonna, stay by myself and I'm not going to talk to anybody. So that's not a good sign. So social connections is a protective factor against anxiety and depression. Then speak with a friend. Always have somebody that you can speak to who will not be judgmental, but allow you to, get out those emotions and those feelings. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Somebody, once again, who's not going to be judgmental, not negative Nancy. And then a counselor. I believe in professional counseling. Once again, even being a spiritual person, I know that counseling is a great tool to use. And I must share this with you guys. Make sure it's a professional counselor, not your friend or family member who wants to be a counselor. Also, a pastor. If you have a pastor who's qualified to speak into your life, then that's a great advantage also. And then a support group. I also have a women empowerment club, our group, a tribe of women who are action takers. We call ourselves the celebrators, congratulators, and history makers. We always get together twice a month, and it's a great support group that we can just talk things out with each other without the judgment. So find a great support group. Also, this is a great example. Maybe there's a team who confides in a mentor about pressure at home and feels understood for the first time. So, maybe this team has tried to talk to a mom or a dad or someone who says, it's no big deal. Just go pray about it, or, hey, you'll be better tomorrow. But once this team comes into a mentor or counselor or pastor, or maybe their support group, and talk about the pressure that they're having at home, they can feel understood. And even in psychology, children do need to be seen, heard, and loved. They want to be understood. And as a parent, I try to make sure that my kids are understood, but maybe that parent didn't understand that child needs to be understood. And they kind of like push it under the rug the way we used to say it back in the day. But once that teen can confide in somebody, then that teen finally feels understood. And that is great as far as dealing with anxiety and making sure it doesn't go into depression. Now, here's a key point. Vulnerability is a strength, and healing begins in conversation. Once again, vulnerability is a strength. Back in my day, we were taught that seeking help was a sign of weakness, but really seeking help is a sign of strength. And being vulnerable, being able to talk about those things that you need to get out, and it causes healing in our life. So let's go to the next screen. Now, tip number 3, self-care is healthcare. So I know we talk about, or probably have heard a lot about self-care, but let's share some tips on this self-care issue. Self-care means sleep. And a lot of times with adults, I know we have an issue with, I got to be busy all the time. But sleep is important, okay? Nutrition, what we put into our bodies, can also cause anxiety and depression if it's not proper nutrition. Hydration, making sure you drink enough water, not putting a lot of sugar in our bodies, and then making time for hobbies and that downtime. Someone asked me, what did I do during the holiday? Yesterday on the holiday, and I said I had downtime. It was just my time to relax and just rejuvenate. We have to know when it's time to just take a break. And then also have a hobby, something that you enjoy doing, something, for me, it's walking. I like to read. So I make time for those things that I know can cause me to have better mental health. Also, practicing mindfulness, just being in that moment. Oh my God, it's such a powerful tool. Deep breathing. I always share with my clients, smell the roses, blow out the candles. Take a moment right now. Take a deep breath in, smell the roses, blow out the candle. Do it again. Smell the roses, deep breath in, blow out the candle. And then prayer. Prayer is a dialogue. Oh my God, I love praying. It's been a myth that, we can't ask God questions. That's not true. So I want you to take that, the advantage of prayer, just talking to God. We used to sing a song, have a little talk with Jesus, tell him all about our problems. So take advantage of prayer, just talking to God, and also gratitude journaling. Oh my goodness, I have a mental health boot camp that I love with our clients. We have a gratitude journals. And gratitude will definitely change your attitude. It's impossible to practice gratitude and be overwhelmed at the same time and depressed. So I would submit to you guys, this is an exercise you can start with today, tonight. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for every day. It's impossible to be grateful and discouraged at the same time. Okay, we can't have those same thoughts at the same time. So a gratitude journal is a great access for self-care. Also, according to research, mindfulness-based stress reduction can be as effective as antidepressants. And I am a witness to this. Mindfulness is so vital, you guys. Just take advantage of it. Just being in the moment. Once again, taking your deep breath, praying, practicing, writing in your gratitude journal every day. And I promise you guys, it is very, very effective as an antidepressant. Now, here's a scenario for an example. A mother or father carves out 10 minutes nightly to journal, helping to track and ease overwhelming thoughts. In our gratitude journal with my clients, every night we write down things that we're grateful for, at least 3 things that we're grateful for. And then we also write down our daily wins. So it's a good idea to write down your daily wins. What is it that you're grateful for that you did that particular day? Maybe this is the first day that you didn't go to bed angry with your mate. Or maybe it's the first day you did not become angry with the kids. Or it's the first day that you were able to smile all day at work. So, make sure that you take that time to write in that journal. It's just oh my God, it's just such an effective tool, once again, for antidepressant or even just feeling overwhelmed. Also, treat your mind like you would a sore muscle. Give it care and recovery time. And I like to explain it this
What
way.
you
Our
doing, Jeremiah?
muscle, and that every day as
Huh?
we're exercising and we're practicing
What?
mindfulness, as we're practicing the techniques that we're giving you guys tonight.
We're not able to hear you.
I don't know
I
what
think
happened.
Okay, there you go.
she muted the wrong person.
Where did it stop?
Okay, go ahead. You can continue.
Okay, but practicing mindfulness and the techniques that we're giving you guys tonight, that deep breathing, the prayer, the gratitude journals, are vital to overcome and even prevent depression and anxiety. So treat our minds like a muscle, like a giant muscle, and give it care and recovery time. And once again, as you stated earlier, our minds, taking care of our minds is just as important as our physical body. And I would share it with you guys that it's even more important because that mind can cause our body to also become, unhealthy. An unhealthy mind causes an unhealthy body. So make sure that we are intentional about self-care and taking care of our minds. So we can go to the next one.
Absolutely. Also, towards the end of this, just to tap in on self-care, you all will be able to send your emails to me for those that joined and those that listen later to actually win some of our self-care tools to start jump-starting your self-care for the summer, right? So let's get ready, prepared, moving forward. Okay, Ms. Ritz.
Okay, tip number 4. Be intentional with screen time. Social media often fuels comparison, anxiety, and information overload. Now, I had to go through a detox from social media because especially during the COVID time frame and a lot of things that was going on, it was very overwhelming to me. So notice how are your emotions after you are scrolling through maybe social media or when you are, just looking at somebody else's posts. Also, more screen time equals less sleep, less exercise, and guess what? And it's and face-to-face connection. So we can hide behind a screen, and then that also makes us feel like we're with other people, but actually we're still isolated with our own minds. So if I'm, being challenged with anxiety, if I don't have that face-to-face connection, I'm hiding behind a screen, that can also cause anxiety. And then a lot of times people say, I can't sleep at night, but then notice how much time are you, viewing that screen that causes us not to be able to sleep. And then also you say, a lot of times I hear people saying, I don't have time to exercise. But if you go back and look at your screen time, maybe that hour and a half scrolling was time that you could have made to do something more productive, moving your body. Here's a scenario. A high schooler cuts her evening screen times and sleep better, feeling calmer by morning. And I've experienced that myself. I sleep much better since I've detoxed from my screen time. Also, a data. This is some data. Kids with 5+ hours of daily screen time show a higher risk of anxiety, depression, and depression symptoms over 2 years. Also, that has been proven with adults. A lot of adults, the reason why they cannot sleep and they have a whole lot of issues with anxiety and it goes into depression is a lot of them are having a lot of screen time. So here's a tip. Set your phone, okay? Say I'm going to have a phone-free time for some hours, maybe an hour before bed. I know for me, I have to limit my time on social media. I make sure that it's no more than, really for me, less than 30 minutes because I find myself being overwhelmed. And doing exercise with yourself, practice taking time off, from social media. Let yourself, go from that screen time and see how it goes for you. Try for a night or maybe 2 nights, and you would probably be surprised at how much better you'll sleep and how much better you'll feel. So, tip number 5, know when to get professional help. And I really want to stress this to you guys, how important it is to seek professional help. Once again, not someone who just want to give you advice about what they would do or what they would not do, but know that therapy helps people understand and manage thoughts, patterns, and behaviors. Oh my God, it's so important to have someone to help us understand and manage our thoughts. I always talk to my clients about the ANTS, automatic negative thought syndrome. Sometimes we have those thoughts that just come just like from nowhere. You could be sitting, in your bedroom and all of a sudden, what if you lose your job? So I always teach them about how to manage those thoughts, and this is a free tip with a PAT, a positive automatic thought. So when that negative thought comes up, immediately begin to replace it, cast it down. Also, you can manage your patterns and behaviors. I truly believe in cognitive behavior therapy. And I share this a lot with my clients, change your thoughts and you'll change your behaviors. Also, medication can correct imbalances and reduce symptoms for many. Don't be afraid or feel like, oh, I'm crazy if I need medication. Medication can correct. There are some imbalances and reduce symptoms for a lot of people. Now, here's a statistic. 70 to 90% of those who seek help see improvement. And that's a great number. 70 to 90% of those of us who seek help do see improvement. Now, here's another example. Here's a scenario. A small business owner, after 6 sessions of cognitive behavior therapy, feels more equipped to handle burnout and panic attacks. And I found that all of my clients who go through CBT, they are overcoming, that overwhelming feelings because now they're learning how to control, those thoughts and those patterns and the behaviors that have held them, stuck in their past with barricaded beliefs and caused them to have burnout and, of course, with anxiety and panic attacks. Now, here's a reminder. Help isn't a last resort. It's a lifeline. And I share this with my clients all the time. Let me be your lifeline to greater health, to greater mental health. So remember, it isn't a last resort. And once again, in some cultures, it's like taboo. But I would encourage you guys, as Dr. Glover shared, just like we go to our doctors when we have, symptoms coming up. As soon as that symptom come up, you're like, let me go see my doctor. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you have a symptom that comes up that this could go into some depression or I can feel this anxiety coming over me, then make sure you reach out for that help. And I'm also here to help you. Thank you, Dr. Glover.
So you're going to your resources as well. Ms. Ritz, you can talk about your resources.
Okay. Fayetteville and National Resources. Fayetteville Mental Health Hub. Oh my God, our website, we have a plethora of information, you guys. I was amazed because I've never lived in a city that provided so many resources as we have available. So go to Fayetteville Mental Health to our website, okay? We have that information up there, Fayetteville, Georgia, Mental Health Hub.org. Or Fayette County Counseling Center, 770-358-5252. Also, our Georgia Crisis and Access line, 1-800-715-4225, or call or text 988, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And those, it says Crisis Lifeline. So that's instead of 911, 988. Also text home to 741-741, crisis, our crisis text line. Also, we have our mental health education and support line. And I heard that this was a really great resource. Someone was just talking to me about this one recently, and I think I'm pronouncing it right. Is it NAMI, NAMI.org. Okay. So she was just sharing with me how this particular client I have, she said they have so many different resources that help you, in different areas of your life with your mental health. Also, we have our community events. Oh my God, we have so much right here in the city of Fayetteville. And then save these numbers, share them. You never know who might need them. So I want you guys to even screenshot this information and also share with others around you and let them know that we're here, especially in the city of Fayetteville, just for you guys. And once again, I'm so thankful for Dr. Glover, because this was her vision. And once I came in, into the mental health advisory board with her, I realized that, it is vital. I feel like for every city to have some type of resource. And so I thank you, Dr. Glover, and I thank all of you guys for allowing me to be a part of this webinar tonight in our mental health advisory board. I am truly honored.
Thank you so much. As always, you are wonderful in what you do as well. I want to take you all into the actual hub as well, but before we conclude tonight, just want to provide our contact information here at the bottom for the Mental Health Advisory Board. You all can always reach out to me directly in Glover at fayette-ga.gov. Email us. Also, up until June 3rd, we will have our next Mental Health Advisory Board meeting. We always welcome citizens to come in for any input that you may have, anything you want to see coming up in the future for the Mental Health Advisory Board, things that you feel like you need. Thank you for those who've been completing our surveys so that we can see and you all can see that we are actually here, but you can send me an email letting me know that you reviewed this presentation. For opportunity to win the self-care items, we'll let Ms. Ritz pull some names on our next advisory board meeting, for the June 3rd at 5:30. And then we can actually announce some of our winners as well. You'll get contacted back to kind of just jumpstart the self-care approach that you all are actually taking moving forward. Some upcoming events. Again, we're going to continue to do the monthly webinars. The next one will be June 24th, 6 p.m. I hope to continuously to see you all come in and we continue to build as we move forward this actual social circle, this support system here in Fayetteville. We're going to focus on PTSD. That is Men Health Awareness Month as well. So bringing forth all of our male friends, family members, letting them know that they are cared for and that they have the support system here too. We're looking to have an August workshop to be determined as well. Also September, we have a golf tournament that we're finalizing moving forward. And then in October, a panel with guest speakers as well as the Mental Health Advisory Board members. A Q&A will be held as well for you all to come in person to actually sit, talk, and engage with us as your board members and your representatives here in the city of Fayetteville. For those that want to kind of hang around and take a look and walk through the Mental Health Advisory Hub, then please stay back with me. I'm going to take you into the hub just to refresh you all. We haven't been in there together since January or February to show you that in there where things are located so you can better navigate there. So again, thank you all for always joining. Give me 1 second so that I can actually transition. Defending his head coach for his rigidity. Please mute yourself for me. And I trust what he is able to do day in and day out, certainly in what children. Thank you so much. Ms. Ritz, let me know if you can see the hub.
Yes, ma'am, I can see it.
Awesome. So this is our mental health hub. We are very proud of this actual hub. We're trying to constantly go out to different events and things of that nature so that we can actually start collaborating with a lot of our mental health landscape that is here, going into the county to bring it right back here in one central station for you all. So here on the actual homepage, you can scroll down to the very bottom. You can navigate some things, but I want to take you all here to the very bottom because we're focusing on anxiety and depression. You can tap into this actual survey to actually get a understanding or a baseline of where you are. Nothing comes to us. This actually goes directly to you, and then you can start navigating some of these resources here. You can navigate by age, mental well-being. We typically focus on the resource by age, but I want to take you all into the mental health tools. Ms. Ritz, do you see the transition for mental wellness?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So, as we talked about tonight, some of the stress and anxiety, mindfulness techniques, all of those things, if they're foreign to you, guess what? They're right here for you. Managing stress, stress for children, all of these different types of tools are right here for you. Depression, what we're focusing on, and how to actually start to balance life with these actual tools. I know typically some of our things in the adult life definitely are linked to some resources or the lack thereof, right? That induces our stressors. So you can come to resource up here by age, find your age group, and then you go down and it'll show you all different types of things. If some of your stresses are linked to assistance, or like Ms. Ricks was saying, economic challenges, mental health services, things for teens and college students, finding training, education assistance, housing assistance, everything is right here in this hub for you all to come to. If you feel that you know additional things to help your community out, feel free to email me directly and we can add this to the actual hub because this will take a community. This initiative is a community effort for all of us to come in together to build this safe space for everyone to actually navigate together. All webinars are placed under resources as well. So the one that I always highlight, and you may hear me highlight that one all the time because it has a host of a whole lot of different types of resources. There will be this April strategies for success or strategies for stress management, I'm sorry, built into here. So you can always come back and review all of the different ones, and this one will be added up within the next 2 to 3 days. We'll place this recording on here as well. So take the time to sometimes go back and kind of listen in on the things, and you'll start to see how we're building this network. We're building this community for each other, right? And again, if you need us, just to piggyback off what Ms. Rick stated, we are here for you. This is why this initiative was so passionate to me, and just to have the support of the members of the advisory board and the city of Fayetteville is overwhelming. And I'm just glad that we have this particular platform to do so. At this time, Ms. Ritz, do you have any additional things
I
that you
just
would
wanted
like
to
to
th-
add? Sure.
I want to thank you and thank everyone who's participating and make sure that you guys avail yourself to the resources. I once again thank God for the city of Fayetteville and Dr. Glover for making these resources available to us. And also, I don't know what happened with the volume, but I pray that you guys could read the slides. But I just want you guys to know that we don't take it lightly, this opportunity that we have to share this great information with you guys. And we're also here for you all. So please reach out to Dr. Glover, email her and let her know any questions you might have or any information that you would need to share with someone, that she's available. And then I also make myself available if you guys need to just talk it out or just to reach out concerning anything that's causing you to have anxiety, or maybe if you are depressed or having symptoms of depression. So
Awesome.
thank you, Dr. Glover.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ritz, for always being here by my side. You always have my back when it comes to these webinars. So, and sharing your insight, as well as the Mental Health Advisory Board members that are always at these events. So again, everyone continue to look into these social events that are going on and readying yourself physically. If you're just doing just a brief walk or something of that nature, please get out there and get ready physically so that we can ensure that we have a strong Fayetteville. Thank you all so much for joining, and I will see you all next month at our next mental health webinar.